Today, Natasha Cloud getting dragged up and down the internet along with Unrivaled for her latest comments regarding, if there's no lockout, the people in Unrivaled are going to be good. I don't really care about the rest of y'all, but the players in Unrivaled are going to be. We're going to get into that. Rebecca Lobo offering a stark warning to the players, saying, look, maybe some of the dialogue you guys are using, maybe calling $1 million salary a slap in the face,
will be just fine, even if the season never happens. That one sentence scared a lot of people in the WNBA. Natasha Cloud, one of the league's most well-known players, said this while talking about Unrivaled, a new alternative league. She was basically saying that a lockout wouldn't hurt her or certain other players. She said this right in the middle of tough negotiations, and it hit like a bomb. It showed something many fans hadn't really thought about. A small group of players have enough money to be okay if the season gets canceled. But for most players in the league, that's not true at all. In one moment, the idea that all players were sticking together fell apart. Suddenly, the WNBA's future and the players' financial security looked way more shaky than anyone wanted to admit. People immediately reacted. Fans, analysts, and media figures got upset, seeing this as a warning sign of a bigger crisis coming.
Saying, look, maybe some of the dialogue you guys are using, maybe calling $1 million salary a slap in the face, isn't the best way to get fans on your side, and that's exactly where we're going to start off. Please like the video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel. Rebecca Lobo, worried WNBA players are losing fan support in CBA talks. Quote, when a deal is presented that's over $1 million max salary and revenue share, it's called a slap in the face. Just use different words. This is an article posted by...
That comment didn't just surprise people, it made them really mad. WNBA legend Rebecca Lobo led the criticism with a blunt and clear warning. She said that calling a 7-figure maximum contract and revenue sharing an insult was a big mistake. According to Lobo, that kind of talk wasn't just wrong. It was harmful at a time when the league needs public support more than ever. She said this language could push fans away instead of bringing them closer. Her words were a serious wake-up call, showing a growing gap between what some players are demanding and how those demands sound to everyone else. And if that gap doesn't get fixed, it could destroy the trust and loyalty the WNBA has spent decades building.
With how they're articulating things. Because if you're working whatever job, a max salary of $1.2 million, average salary of $500,000. If you don't think it's fair, that's fine. But don't call it a slap in the face. Support for the players are definitely waning. Every time they take a dump on $1 million max salaries, a $250,000 minimum salaries, $500,000 average salary, every time they trash that, I would say it's a huge slap in the face to the people that are observing these negotiations from a distance. Wait, you guys are saying a 4X?
Lobo's worry only got worse when she started noticing fans losing interest. People's excitement wasn't just getting weaker. It was dropping in a way that was impossible to miss. To her, that drop sent a clear message. The way some players were talking about their demands was backfiring. The constant complaining, especially about wanting much higher pay, seemed out of touch to many fans. Instead of making people feel sorry for them, it made it harder for regular viewers to care about the players' complaints. That fading support pointed to something far more serious, a problem that could hurt the WNBA's future and make it harder to get major deals later on.
They're not even supporting any player not named Caitlin Clark. Any player not named Caitlin Clark. Not team, any player not named Caitlin Clark. Yeah, there are a good amount of people that are saying, hey, it's Indiana fever or nothing as well. I tried to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, but based on how these negotiations have been going, based on how much you have been gaslighting and lying to us, I'm not going to support you guys anymore. I'm going to prove to all of the players in the league, nobody cares about you, and we only care about Caitlin Clark.
For most fans who are already struggling with money, it's nearly impossible to understand how a 6- or 7-figure paycheck can be called an insult. Lobo pointed this out perfectly, saying this mindset shuts down public sympathy right away. When athletes openly criticize what most people would see as a life-changing amount of money, it builds a wall instead of a bridge. Rather than creating understanding, it creates frustration and anger. That breakdown in communication has been costly, pushing away potential supporters and putting at risk the loyal fan base the league needs to survive and keep growing.
Go against the players to teach them a lesson at this point. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. And with what Rebecca Lobo said, the average fan at home, yes, the average fan at home, yeah, they would say that that's a little bit ridiculous. But I would also say the old guard WNBA fan, they're behind these players nearly 100%. The old guard WNBA fan is why these players feel so emboldened to act how they do, to demand what they are demanding. It's the old WNBA fans. The new fans, the casuals, they see right through this.
Fans got even angrier when players brushed off a 4 times pay increase as not enough. To many watching, those comments didn't just sound ungrateful. They felt like lies, as if the public was being told to ignore basic common sense about money and progress. Calling such a huge pay raise anything less than amazing really upset people. For those on the outside, it came across as disrespectful and insulting. That mistake has become a major issue, driving anger, making frustration worse, and widening the gap between players and the very audience they need on their side, creating a divide that's becoming harder and harder to ignore.
But like, for example, and we all pray it doesn't happen because everybody wants the W to come back. So my question is, if for some reason that there was a lockout and, the season didn't come back.
I feel like I can't say that there is or there isn't because I'm not 100% sure, but I know Unrivaled is prepared in so many different instances. And the biggest one being that we own the space that we play in.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to stay here year round as the players of Unrivaled with equity in this league and with space, financial money, all that stuff, we could stay here, train, play, put on another season if need be. So that's the beautiful thing, and that's why I'm so appreciative
The Caitlin Clark effect has only made the growing disconnect with fans worse. More and more viewers are now saying straight up that they only support Clark and the Indiana Fever. Everything else, they say, they're ignoring. Some have even promised to boycott other teams completely. For the WNBA, that change is alarming. It shows a hard truth. Right now, individual star power, not the players' group messaging, is what's driving interest, ticket sales, and attention. Fans are openly saying they want to send a message by refusing to buy merchandise or attend games unless Clark is involved. It's a clear and worrying sign of how deeply many feel dismissed, frustrated, and unheard.
League that has the best players in the world. Unrivaled doesn't have the best players in the world. They can lie to themselves and think that they do. They don't. Project B doesn't have the best players in the world. They can lie to themselves and think that they do. They don't. Not only do they not have the best players in the world, they don't have the most interesting players in the world. They don't have the biggest draws in the world. They don't have the most popular players in the world. The most popular player, Caitlin Clark, isn't associated with either of those leagues. And both of those leagues' success depend on a Caitlin Clark playing in them. Make no mistake about it. Now, Natasha Cloud is talking all this hot you-know-what.
What many fans see as gaslighting has become a major problem between players and the audience. Supporters who feel lied to about the league's true financial situation are responding with growing anger and distrust. To them, calls for way higher pay despite record-breaking attention and steadily rising salaries feel like an effort to sell a fake version of reality. That breakdown in trust may be the most dangerous part of this moment. Once trust breaks down, so does the emotional connection that keeps fans invested. And without that loyalty, the foundation that keeps any sports league alive begins to crack, turning already tense negotiations into an even more hostile fight.
Project B runs from November to April, and Unrivaled's running from January to March. Well, guess what? All those players that were the best players in Unrivaled, they're not going to be there anymore because Project B's got bigger pockets than you guys. So you're talking all this mess. Realistically, Project B, they're getting ready to put you guys out of business. Realistically, TNT, you think they're going to be perfectly okay with the trash ratings that Unrivaled has brought in? Unrivaled is prepared for the next year, but if Unrivaled gets dropped by TNT and Warner Brothers, you think they're prepared for that?
A clear split is forming within the WNBA fan base. On one side are long-time, deeply loyal supporters who often defend players no matter what, seeing current demands as totally fair. On the other side are newer and more casual viewers, many who came because of Caitlin Clark, who are far less willing to accept the messaging without question. These fans are quicker to challenge exaggerations and far less likely to offer blind loyalty, creating a real problem for a league trying to grow beyond its core audience. That divide became even more obvious after Natasha Cloud's comments about Unrivaled being ready to handle a potential WNBA lockout. Her words weren't just confident, they directly hurt the WNBA's negotiating power. Cloud described a situation where Unrivaled players, especially those who own part of the league, would be mostly protected from the money problems that a work stoppage would cause for most WNBA players. The message was troubling. It suggested a serious split within the player group itself, raising questions about whether the union talks truly represent all athletes. Cloud doubled down by pointing out that Unrivaled owns its own playing facility, framing it as a big advantage that would let the league keep operating year-round no matter what happens to the WNBA. Her claim that Unrivaled could simply stay, train, compete, and even start another season if needed was a bold declaration of independence. It showed that some players believe they now have a real alternative, one that challenges the WNBA's long-standing role as the main professional option. Cloud also positioned leagues like Unrivaled and Project B as necessary disruptors, saying they would force the WNBA to change. In her view, the rise of 3-on-3 rival leagues meant progress, breaking what she called the WNBA's monopoly on elite women's basketball talent. But while that story was meant to inspire change, it also showed a quickly shifting and increasingly competitive professional landscape, adding even more pressure to already tense talks. That optimism, however, quickly hit a harsh reality check. Critics pointed out that neither Unrivaled nor Project B currently has the best players in the world. Superstars like Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, and Sabrina Ionescu remain firmly in the WNBA. Without those big names, the league's biggest draws, alternative leagues don't have what they need to get huge fan attention or secure major media deals. That uncomfortable truth seriously weakens the idea that these leagues are ready to replace their WNBA in any real way, exposing a major flaw in their supposed strength. Adding another layer of trouble, Project B itself threatens Unrivaled. With a season running at the same time and reportedly deeper financial backing, Project B is ready to take talent away from Unrivaled. Rather than presenting a united challenge to the WNBA, the alternative league world appears divided and competing with itself. As a result, Cloud's confidence in Unrivaled's long-term security suddenly looks far less certain. The very disruption she celebrates could just as easily turn inward, with rival leagues hurting each other before ever seriously threatening the WNBA. Even Unrivaled's financial situation is now under question. Concerns are growing that TNT and Warner Brothers, who reportedly have a 3-year opt-out clause in their 6-year deal, could walk away because of poor ratings. Losing that broadcast deal would be devastating, cutting off critical ad money and putting the league's survival in serious doubt. When looked at that way, claims of being fully ready for a WNBA lockout start to sound far less convincing. Without its main media partner, Unrivaled's confidence risks falling apart under the weight of the very money problems it claims to have already solved. Cloud's focus on the small group of Unrivaled players who could financially survive a lockout makes the situation of the other roughly 100 WNBA players stand out sharply. Her comments offered no comfort and no plan for the majority of athletes who would be hurt hardest if a season were lost. That silence spoke volumes, reinforcing the idea that the priorities of a protected few are being put above the welfare of the entire league. This gap has only strengthened claims that the union itself is divided. Critics say the conversation is increasingly focused on individual security rather than shared survival. The accusation of selfishness is serious, aimed at players who seem more focused on personal earnings and alternative league opportunities than on protecting the WNBA's long-term future. That anger runs deep. Many believe a small group of veteran players nearing the end of their careers are willing to gamble with the league's stability for short-term gain. Younger players and fans who see their own futures tied to the league's growth see that approach as reckless one that could permanently damage women's professional basketball. The reality of Unrivaled's size further undermines the idea that it can work as a true replacement. The league plays in a venue that holds about 1,000 people, far smaller than WNBA arenas, and their rising attendance especially after the Caitlin Clark surge. When combined with TV ratings that are lower than even last season's WNBA numbers, it becomes harder to argue that Unrivaled has achieved real mainstream success. Expectations that such a small platform could support a large group of professional athletes year-round, let alone rival the WNBA, start to feel disconnected from reality. Adding to the controversy is a clear conflict of interest. Some players with direct ties to competing leagues like Unrivaled are also involved in negotiating the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. That double role raises serious ethical concerns about divided loyalties and whether all players' interests are truly being represented at the negotiating table. The possibility that personal investments and outside opportunities could influence critical decisions has injected even more distrust into an already messy process, making compromise harder and dragging things out. Many observers believe the players are badly misreading their power by rejecting good proposals, pushing fans away, and putting too much faith in untested alternative leagues. They risk making a big mistake. That strategic error could have severe consequences, bringing the league closer to a lockout and stopping momentum at a time when the WNBA should be building on unprecedented growth. The danger is no longer just theoretical. Fan enthusiasm is dropping. Casual viewers are being pushed away by hostile talk, and internal divisions among players are becoming impossible to ignore. The WNBA now finds itself at a critical crossroads. Bold claims about alternative leagues crash into the hard facts of their limited reach and shaky money situation, making an already fragile situation worse. Together, these forces have created a highly unstable environment, one where the future of professional women's basketball hangs in the balance, and where quick, smart leadership is urgently needed to avoid lasting damage.